This is Steve Hewlett from BalanceFitLifestyle.com, and today I kind of want to explain to you a little bit about what type 2 diabetes is, what insulin resistance is, what prediabetes is, and what full-blown type 2 diabetes is. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use an analogy that I got from Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist out of Canada, and he wrote the book Diabetes Code and the Obesity Code. And both of these are fantastic books. If you have diabetes or know anybody who has, I highly recommend both these books to read because it really explains a lot. And again, I really like this analogy, and I hope that this helps kind of clear things up for you as well. So what we're going to do in this analogy is this is actually a subway station, and these cars on the side, these are going to be the cells in your body, and the people are the glucose. That's the sugar that's in your body. And then the conductors are going to be like the insulin. And so it's up to the conductors to make sure that we only have 80 to 100 people out here in this hallway. And that's kind of to equate to our 80 to 100 milligrams per deciliter of our fasting glucose. So our insulin only wants, or these conductors only want 80 to 100 people out here. So after we have a meal and we have all this glucose, what happens, the conductors come through here and they tell all these people they need to get out of this hallway, we need to get you into these cells, okay? Because we can only have 80 to 100 milligrams per deciliter, or 80 to 100 people out here. So that's what happens. We have a meal, the conductors come down, and they tell the people to get in the cells, and so the people go and they get in the cells, and now there's the glucose inside your cell. And the glucose, and your cells are all packed, and they're all up here, they're scrunched up here together, but that's perfectly fine, because this is what's supposed to happen. This is our normal glucose inside of our cells, and what's supposed to be happening, as I've explained in another video, our glucose is made for energy. That's what we actually use that for in our bodies, is energy. So these glucose molecules are sitting in our cells waiting for the doors to open up, and so we can be going and used for whatever energy we need. And so that's what happens. The doors open up and the glucose comes out. Okay, now it goes and it gets transported around to wherever it's needed for energy. And this is all perfect. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. This is normal. Now, what happens if this is the glucose is all crammed up here inside these cells, and it's sitting here and it's packed in, and it's waiting for these doors to open up so it can be come out and used for energy. But instead of the doors opening up and come out, we have another meal. So we have this another huge glucose load that comes into our bodies, and it's floating around inside glucose and fructose, it's sugar, and it's floating around inside our bloodstream. Well, our bodies come out and say, whoa, there are way too many people out here. We've got to get you packed in these cells. So those of you that were inside the cell that's trying to come back out, go back in. We don't have room for you, and we're going to be putting more in. So the body kind of freaks out, and what it has to do is it says, I can't handle this. I need to call out more insulin. And so that's exactly what the body does, is it calls in more insulin. So this is what happens, and this is what prediabetes is. Prediabetes means your glucose is kind of the same, kind of normal, but our insulin levels are really, really getting high because it takes more and more insulin to handle the same glucose load that we're putting it through. But remember, insulin doesn't just come into the body and just make glucose just disappear. What insulin does is insulin comes in and it pushes more glucose into the cells, because that's what insulin is. Insulin is a storage hormone. It means it takes your glucose and it makes it get stored as glycogen, make it stored as fat, or it allows it to get burned off as energy that we need right away. So this insulin, when it comes in and our bodies are full of sugar, what the insulin does is it gets in there and it starts packing. It's pushing all this glucose into these already packed cells. And that's what happens, is these cells are so packed that you'll see, as it doesn't matter how much insulin, it doesn't matter how many conductors you get. When these cars are totally full, you're not going to be able to put any more people in there. And that's what it is with our insulin. When our cells are so full, all of a sudden we have all this insulin that's trying to get the glucose in. This is called insulin resistance. It takes a lot more insulin to get the sugar inside the cells and get it out of this bloodstream. That's insulin resistance. But what happens when these cells are totally full and we try to get more and more in? It ends up, there's nothing else we can do, and now the glucose spills out. It spills out all into our bloodstream. And this is when we come in and we say, oh, now you have full-blown diabetes. You have sugar floating all around your cells. And so what do the physicians do? What do we do in the medical field? What we do is we try to get this blood glucose out of the bloodstream. The only way we can do it, there's different ways we can do it, but one of the main ways we would do it is with medication. And we have to do it by either giving medication that makes the pancreas produce more insulin, which, as you see, that's not going to really do that much good, or If that doesn't start working, now we have to start giving you more insulin. But remember, the more insulin we give, that's not really helping the situation. It's actually making the situation worse. Because now your body can't produce enough insulin to cram more people, cram more glucose in the cells. So we give you more insulin to cram more into these cells. The only way to stop diabetes, to prevent it and to reverse it, is stop putting sugar in our mouths. Stop putting sugar, stop putting high fructose corn syrup, stop putting processed food, stop putting flour in our mouths. Because it doesn't matter how much medication you give, there's no medication that's going to stop the root cause of type 2 diabetes, and the root cause is too much sugar and too much high fructose corn syrup, too much processed food, too much flour in our diets. There's no medication that's going to take that blood glucose out of our cells. We have to quit putting it in. And we'll talk about more of that on another video. But I hope this kind of makes you understand what's going on and how you totally have total control over what's happening to your type 2 diabetes. And treat it now before this high blood glucose goes in and starts making more damage with organ damage and organ failure. So, hope this helps, and hope to see you on another video.